My name is Gina. I'm 31 years old. When I was 17, I saw things that shattered my understanding of power, wealth, and human cruelty. Yes, I was on Epstein Island. And no, it wasn't by choice. I was 17. An orphan living in a group home in Clearwater, Florida. Despite everything, I was a straight A student with dreams that terrified me with their ambition. College, pre-med, a life that mattered. But dreams don't pay bills. I worked weekend shifts at a diner where the coffee was always burnt and the tips barely covered bus fare. After school, I tutored kids whose parents could afford what mine never could. In 6 months, I'd age out of the system completely. I wasn't naive. I was desperate. There's a universe of difference. She walked into the diner on a Tuesday afternoon, early 40s, well-dressed, radiating this maternal warmth that disarmed you instantly. She ordered coffee, left a $50 tip on a $6 check, and asked if she could talk to me during my break. She worked for a private hospitality service, she said. High-profile clients. She described an opportunity: 7 days on a private Caribbean island as a spa assistant. Massages, serving refreshments, basic hosting duties, resort work. The payment, $20,000, cash. That was more money than I'd make in a year. That was college. That was my entire future handed to me on a silver platter. Were there red flags? Of course. The cash payment, the non-disclosure agreement, the vague details about who these clients were. But she showed me photos, luxury architecture, palm trees, pristine beaches, paradise. And when you're desperate, paradise doesn't need to make perfect sense. 3 days later, I was on a private plane, having just signed away 7 days I'd spend the next 14 years trying to forget. The island was breathtaking: crystal water, white sand, architecture from a design magazine. But something felt immediately wrong, a dissonance between the beauty and the atmosphere, like perfume covering decay. The woman who greeted me wasn't the one from the diner. This handler was colder, clinical. First thing, she confiscated my phone. Guest privacy. I'd get it back when I left. The compound tour revealed opulence everywhere: marble floors, expensive art, furniture worth more than cars. But the details unsettled me. Cameras in every corner, doors that locked only from the outside, windows sealed shut. There were other girls, maybe 6 or 7 that first day, young, too young, and their eyes, vacant, hollow, like they were screaming warnings without sound, begging me to run while I still could. They gave me my uniform. It wasn't spa attire. It was revealing in a way that made my stomach drop. When I questioned it, the handler smiled coldly. The guests preferred it this way. I should feel flattered. That evening, I met some of the guests. Powerful men, older men whose faces I recognized from television, magazines, headlines. Men you'd recognize, too. The way they looked at us wasn't like employers viewing staff. It was predatory. Casual cruelty lived in their eyes. The first 24 hours shattered every expectation. The massage sessions crossed boundaries immediately. When I objected, they laughed. When I complained, I was told I was being too sensitive, that this was the job, that I'd signed a contract. They pushed alcohol on us, called it staff bonding. It wasn't optional. The first night, I watched another girl, couldn't have been more than 16, get taken to a private villa. She returned hours later, wouldn't make eye contact, moved like she was underwater. No one acknowledged it. We all pretended we hadn't seen. On day 2, I tried to leave. I went to the dock where the salt air should have smelled like freedom, but tasted like desperation instead. That's when I learned the boats only came on a schedule. No exceptions, no emergencies, no escape. I confronted the handler. She pulled out my contract, pages of legal language I'd skimmed. She pointed to clauses I didn't remember reading. 7 days I'd committed. Then came the threat, delivered with that same cold smile. These are very important men, Gina. Very powerful men. If you make accusations, who do you think people will believe? A group home orphan with no family, no connections, or them? She was right, that's what made it so terrifying. The parties started that night, lavish dinners that descended into chaos. Alcohol flowed constantly. We, the girls, were treated like amenities, like furniture, like we weren't human. I witnessed behaviors that would destroy reputations, end careers, shatter the carefully constructed public images of people the world admired. The powerful acting untouchable because they were. I saw girls younger than me disappear into rooms and emerge changed, broken in ways I recognized because I was breaking too. There were moments I left my body. I had to. It was survival. On day 4, while searching for a bathroom, I stumbled into a room I wasn't supposed to see. Strange symbols covered the walls, occult imagery, candles arranged in geometric patterns. That night I witnessed a gathering, robes, chanting, ceremonial practices that belonged in nightmares. The air hung thick with incense and something darker, something that made my skin crawl. I don't know if they believed or if it was performance, but the cruelty was real. The power dynamics were real. Their belief that they were gods was real. Other girls shared their stories in stolen moments, whispered confessions in bathroom stalls, in hallways when handlers weren't watching. This was systematic, organized, protected by layers of money, power, and legal threats. One girl told me it was her 3rd time on the island. She couldn't have been more than 15. Same recruitment method. She tried to speak out once. Her accusations went nowhere. Instead, she received threats. Then they brought her back to remind her who controlled everything. Day 5 broke something in me. I witnessed an incident I still can't fully access. My mind won't let me. But I watched it happen to a girl who'd become my friend, and I made a choice. I couldn't stop what was happening, but I could stand between her and them afterward. I spoke up. I said no. The consequences were immediate. Isolation, psychological torture disguised as discipline. They didn't need to physically hurt me. They had lawyers, power, connections. They reminded me constantly. But day 5 was also when I discovered the hidden cameras throughout the compound, in bedrooms, in bathrooms, everywhere. They were documenting everything. That's when I understood. This wasn't just about pleasure. It was about power, control, insurance. They were collecting compromat, building leverage over each other and people who weren't even there yet. I overheard a conversation about the network, how this happened at other locations, repeatedly, systematically, for years, how they had recordings on everyone who mattered. In that moment, I understood something that still haunts me. Every person on that island was either prey or predator, and I'd seen too much. That made me dangerous. Days 6 and 7 blur together, a haze of psychological deterioration. Other girls warned me, forget everything. It's the only way to survive. The final night, there was a large gathering. Music mixed with sounds I can't describe. Sounds that wake me sometimes, even now. I was assigned to serve. Walking through rooms, witnessing depravity, seeing recognizable faces engaging in acts I couldn't reconcile with their public personas. One of them, someone you definitely know, looked at me in a way that made it clear I might be next. I hid in a service area for hours, my heart hammering so loud I was certain they'd hear it, barely breathing, until morning came. Day 7. They returned our phones, wiped clean. Exit interview with veiled threats disguised as a satisfaction survey. The handler's final words. You seem like a smart girl, Gina. Smart girls know when to forget things. They gave me the envelope. $20,000 exactly as promised, blood money, but I needed it to survive what came next. On the boat ride away, I watched the island disappear into the blue horizon, paradise sinking back into the ocean like Atlantis. Other girls were with me. We didn't exchange names. We didn't speak. We were ghosts of who we'd been 7 days earlier. I didn't go to college that year. I couldn't be around people. The money that was supposed to buy my future bought therapy instead. Years of it. When the scandal finally broke, when he was arrested, I felt relief and terror and validation simultaneously. I stayed silent initially, fear, shame, the threats echoing in my head. But when other victims started coming forward, something shifted. Solidarity mixed with guilt. I'm 31 now. I did eventually go to college. I'm a social worker. I help kids like I was. Kids aging out of the system. Kids who are desperate. Kids who might sign papers they don't understand because someone offers them hope. I'm telling this story now because silence protects predators, not victims. Those 7 days didn't define me, but they shaped everything after. I was one of many. Some never made it out. Some didn't survive what came after. When victims speak, believe them, especially when the accused are powerful. My name is Gina. I survived Epstein Island, and I'm not silent anymore.